Even a big predator animal is still not going to want to go after an eagle. Hello, and when you really stop to think about it, hello, my wonderful friends, and welcome to another episode of Arlocast, a show which will undoubtedly devolve into an indecipherable mess of giggling and inside jokes before the end of its first year. Our first guest today is a marvel of science, part man, part machine. And when the machine part was being assembled in the lab, he had many options to choose from, including Love Machine and Dance Machine. But in the end, he chose Analysis Machine. And our lives are better for it. Please welcome again, Derrick Bitner. Derrick, hello.
Hello. I figured that would just cover it all, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, what is it that you do on this wild web?
I am a part of Good Vibes Gaming, where we have our own weekly show, 3 times a week show, where we cover the news each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, going over everything like that, having guests on and so forth, while also basically like, hey, this interests me, I want to cover it, that sort of thing.
Perfect. Your analysis, your deep dives, they're legendary. I love them.
It's been good to get back into those and to do a little bit more. Very satisfied with my Breath of the Wild 2 analysis. Took a little bit to get to the Metroid Dread analysis, just because life, kid, it happens. You kind of get delayed and you just kind of just push forward as fast as you can.
Things do get delayed. I have experienced things getting delayed. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
As long as the quality's there.
Yeah. As long as it eventually shows up. That's what I tell myself. Our second guest suffers from a rare and unfortunate condition called biludological reactive disorder. Because of BLRD, most games either trigger him or blow his mind. Fortunately for him and all of us, he's been able to turn his condition into a career. Please welcome Nathaniel Bandy. Welcome to the show.
Wow. Thank you, Arlo. Wow, that was, I loved that intro. That was fantastic.
Yes, I did a lot. I did research into your condition. It is important.
I'm glad. I think, I've been able to make it work. How's it going?
It's going pretty great. Do I call you Nathaniel? Do I call you Nate? Do I call you Mr. Yule?
Just Nathan's fine.
Nathan.
Just to simplify
Going
things.
with the Nathan. All right.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know with the Nathaniel and the Nate and the Nathans. There's a lot of combinations. That's why I thought Yule.
Yeah.
I was going for the Yule. I'm waiting for someone to be Yule.
You know, I mean, honestly, every time someone asks what I should call them, I just give them something different every time.
Yeah.
Go with Nate. Go with Nathan. Go with just Bandy, you know?
Yeah. Nat.
I guess whatever I'm kind of feeling in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fan.
Should I call it Al or should I just Din?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's good. And what is it that you do?
Gosh, I kind of delve into a little bit of everything. It's mostly Nintendo. As of recently, I've turned into a Lego Luigi YouTuber. That's been my week this week. I'm putting together this like massive like skit project involving a cursed Lego Mario and Lego Luigi. So that's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I kind of just I do a little bit of everything. I've done news stuff. I've done reviews. I'm diving into music a little bit. So yeah,
that's great. You're. I mean, I say this to most of my guests, but you are one of the ones that I'm like, I need to watch more of that person, and I just watch so little YouTube. But everything that I have seen has been excellent. I particularly love your challenge videos. I was just looking at your the one where you play both versions of Mario 64 simultaneously.
Oh,
God.
yes.
Excellent. The work that you do, like I would never want to put myself through something like that, but I can really appreciate someone else doing it for me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. No, that's why I actually really like your channel as well as, Good Vibes Gaming, because it's very easy to just listen to while I'm working on stuff. So it's pretty cool to like be able to be a part of this.
Oh, well, yeah.
After listening
absolutely.
to so many of your videos over the years.
Well,
so.
Thank you for listening to my videos, and we're so happy to have you. And so you said right now that's the thing you're working on is the Lego Luigi thing.
Yeah.
Any other big projects coming up?
I'm actually gonna be working on WarioWare when that comes out next month.
Oh yeah.
Mario Party Superstars, obviously Switch OLED. I would love to play Metroid Dread because I've played a little bit of Metroid. What was it? I think Metroid Fusion a long time ago. It was a lot of fun, but I just never ended up finishing it. But I've heard that's like not even a better Metroid game.
No, Fusion. I think most people like it more than I do. It's got a lot of good stuff. It's just super linear. That's really the main problem.
Right. Yeah.
That's always the sort of problem thrown at Fusion. It's good, but it's a matter of the individual Metroid fans' preference for linearity or not. I don't mind it, so I love it because it manages to really ramp up the fear factor of the franchise more so than any other, and appreciate it for that. Honestly, I've been coming around more and more to Zero Mission maybe being the best in the series, because going back to Super Metroid, the controls definitely feel a lot looser than I remember, and Zero Mission is still very tight with how it controls. But there's not really a bad Metroid game as far as, the 2D ones that they're covering.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's kind of just like, it's hard because Super, now we're just kind of going into a Metroid thing. Super is like, it's got so much about it, like the big giant open world and the atmosphere and everything that's so good. But then just every more modern game, they just get better and better in terms of just the controls and the feel and all that stuff. So it's kind of like, that's why I almost wish they just remake them all. Just keep remaking them. I don't even care. Like, just update the controls and stuff, because it's like you have so many good ideas, but like just naturally each new one they do just feels better and better. And that's why I'm really excited about Dread, because I loved Samus Returns, and excited about Dread.
Yeah. I mean, or at the very least, just like release them all on the virtual console, or just put them individually on the store. Because we have Metroid on NES, we have Super Metroid, so there's a couple that people can sample, but it's not like, all of them. This is the 5th game in the series. So again, I know we've talked about this in the past, but it's kind of similar. It's like, let's release Pikmin 3. What about Pikmin 1 and 2? There's a lot of games that Nintendo's releasing now where it's like, this is a sequel, but the original game or the game before that was like, several years ago, and no one's going to remember it.
Yeah, it is a silly thing. I will say, I don't really know what they're thinking.
It'd be nice to have that convenience to have them all available to play. That said, story-wise, I can kind of see why they're not bothering, because when it comes down to it, there's not a lot of story to cover.
It's not like, it's not super necessary.
Fair enough.
I say more just like the gameplay.
Yeah, it's mood and getting people adjusted to the gameplay, but from everything we've seen, the recap is going to be more than sufficient to get people up to speed with what they need to know, and they can just go for it with Dread, with all of its wonderful upgrades, it seems. Yeah. Hopefully they pay off.
Yeah, they definitely can. Oh, before we get too deep into stuff, though, this is a part I keep forgetting to do, is Nate, you said Nate. That's Nate. We've asked what you're doing right now, projects and stuff. What about you, Derrick? Any just exciting stuff you got on your plate? Anything happening soon?
Mainly the big things I've been working on are, we've been talking about Metroid, but that new video came out, Nintendo just released today. Definitely going to be doing something with that. That's probably what I'm going to be working on as soon as we finish up this. Hopefully have it ready for tomorrow, because it's only 30 seconds long, so it's not really too crazy, I think. It's just one of those things like, all right, here's some theories, pop it out there and get those minds turning as much as possible. Otherwise, I've been playing a lot of Great Ace Attorney Chronicles because got that on the day of release. Hope to do a review, if not, at least discuss with other fans of Ace Attorney, in order to just sort of give our thoughts on these games that we finally got in the US, and that's been a wonderful time. I'm up to case 4 right now of the first game.
That's good, and that actually helps me segue perfectly into our first segment of the show. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but there's a lot of notable games that have come out in the last a month or something. So I'm going to slightly tweak the name of this segment to, how about any of those games that just came out? So it looks so you've been playing Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.
Correct, yes.
And I have heard very positive things about it.
Yes, it's a very different feeling, Ace Attorney. Have you played any of the Ace Attorney games?
I've not. I have like the first trilogy. I have it on Switch, and I haven't played it, and I really want to.
It's very excellent, but they have this sort of formula. There's a sort of silliness to it that that doesn't take away from the more serious moments, and it still can hit those emotional beats throughout the series, especially in 3. But Great Ace Attorney is a bit more grounded in how it's approaching things, and a lot more story focused in how the cases lead into one another much more so than before. And it just has these wonderful characters. Like the Herlock Sholmes character is just freaking brilliant. The way they have it divided up is quite good as well. I have not beaten the first game, but I have heard from people who have that it's probably a good thing they bundled both together. It's like who knows how it was like for Japanese players, because it is so story focused that it kind of leaves some things unresolved in the first game that you got to find out through the second game. And I think that's when you get the complete story. So it's kind of good to have both in this bundle to really get through that. But what I've played so far really captured that spirit. There's been some amazing cases with twists and turns, and just you get invested. You want to see more, and it's great for that.
Yeah, it's awesome that they brought it to the West. I mean, so many people. Kane, my editor, he was going nuts for it. He was so happy.
Oh, it gives hope that other games that we never got, because there's another side series called Ace Attorney Investigations that starred Miles Edgeworth from the first game and the original trilogy and a couple other games as well, as his own thing. And I've not gotten the chance to play those yet, but only the first game was released. Apparently the second game might be one of the best in the series, according to some people, and we never got it. So fingers crossed that might come over eventually, but it's one of those things where the fans are like, okay, we got to support this, we got to do this, and hopefully Capcom will listen to us and get us all of the games, like 4 through 6 on Switch, the Ace Attorney Investigations, and then all of a sudden we have the entire series on one console, and we're living the dream.
Oh, that would be incredible. Hey, Capcom, they've been doing good work. I can't stress it enough. So everybody go out and buy 5 copies of this one.
Exactly.
Everybody has to pitch in. What else we got? Nate, you were saying that you had some thoughts on Mario Golf.
Yeah. So I imagine you guys have also played. Well, yeah, you just put out a review. Yeah, so I played through Mario Golf like right when it came out. Basically knocked out the campaign in a day. I don't know how I feel about it. It's definitely better than Mario Tennis Aces in terms of just like the story mode. It's a little bit more in depth. The level up system actually feels a little bit more rewarding. But at the same time, there's something about it that does feel kind of like empty, I guess, and I don't know what it is.
It just feels a little rushed, no pun intended. Or, yeah, sure, I'll take the pun.
Yeah.
No, it does. It feels like it's missing just that last little, I don't know, that little chunk of work that needed to go. Or it's not even, it's a little unpolished, but it's more just like, it does feel like at some point in production they had to just stop and just like take whatever they had and kind of just finish it up. I don't know.
Yeah. And that might be why we're getting these free DLC packs now.
I mean, getting like Toadette as a new character, I mean, I guess that's cool, but I mean, why not just have, delay the game a few months and then, make sure you have time to add all the new characters. And like the New Donk City stage, that definitely should have been in the game at first. So that's probably my biggest complaint with Mario Golf Super Rush, is just that half of the courses look the same. Like there's grass, there's a rainy grass course, and there's like desert, but it also has a lot of grass. It all kind of looks the same, and it all kind of plays the same. I just wish there's a little bit more course variety for a title that's Mario Golf. Like you'd think it would be a little bit more fun and would have more variety in terms of like the overall environments, but it's a little unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely because I'd never played a Mario Golf, and I expected it to be a lot wackier. And I would say like the final course, like the Bowser course or whatever, is the closest to what I would imagine Mario Golf being. But it's also maybe it's a little too chaotic in its own way. It's kind of one of those things where I'm kind of like you. I don't quite know what I want or what I'm missing. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's fun though.
I just had a thought. So I've been playing golf with your friends recently, and what if Nintendo just made like Mario mini golf instead? Like I feel like that would fit the theme way better, because like golf with your friends, I don't know if either of you have played that, but the courses are very, very varied. Like you'll be, I don't know, there's like this like carnival area, there's like a big candy area where you're just bouncing around off of like lollipops and like all sorts of things. And I feel like something like that would probably make a lot more sense for a Mario Golf game compared to trying to make it a more realistic experience.
Yeah, that's what I expected.
Well, here's the crazy thing, is Mario Golf 64 actually had a mini golf mode. And it's just never come back.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never played a Mario Golf game, but I was over at friends and they had it, and I saw them playing it themselves. And I was like, oh, that's cool that they have both golf and mini golf, and that it never showed up again. And I haven't really picked up any Mario sports games since, and just because they seem to have shifted the balance from wacky and fun to slightly more realistic, with a kind of like, oh, here's our gimmick for this game.
Yeah.
And that's what it seems to have gone with both tennis and golf in this case, which can still be fun. It hits the fundamentals just as well, but it's that extra little oomph that I think it prevents it from being something that people talk about and really stick with, and makes it feel like a Mario sports game where it's, wacky and different, but still accessible and can play normally if you want. It's the options that are missing, it feels.
Right, yeah. So I've played Toadstool Tour. It's the Mario Golf on the GameCube, and that game has I think 7 or 8 different game modes, and the courses are more varied than on the Switch. So it's not like, Nintendo can't accomplish this. I think they're just choosing to not include extra game modes, or they just don't have the time for it. I don't really know, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. Is it it's pandemic, but then it's like Mario Tennis Aces didn't have a pandemic, is just kind of like, you don't want to say they're doing the bare minimum to get it sold, but then sometimes it kind of feels that way, or they think as long as the core gameplay is there, then people can play multiplayer, and everything else beyond that doesn't matter too much. And and that's something that I know there are some people who complain that that golf has been kind of dumbed down. I don't know, I haven't played the other ones, but Tennis Aces was that's the best. That's the best Mario Tennis has ever just felt in terms of just raw gameplay. But that's all it is. Do you like just playing matches and that's it, the end? Because that's what you got.
It feels It feels like what they learned from Mario Tennis Ultra Smash is okay, we can't go bare minimum. We have to have something extra. So bare minimum plus a little extra, get people enticed, and call it a day.
Yeah, but then at the same time, do you think Ultra Smash would have sold better if it just wasn't on the Wii U? It could just be that thing where the Switch sells stuff because the Switch has a massive and very healthy install base. It could be it didn't matter what they did with tennis or golf. It was just the new tennis and golf games. And so they're just going to get that many more people because it's on the Switch. I don't know.
I hope not, because Ultra Smash, from everything I could tell, was pretty bare bones and bad.
Oh my god. Yeah, I played that game a few years ago, and it is just, God, it's so boring. It's not even bad, because it actually plays well, like Tennis Aces does. It actually plays very similar to Tennis Aces, but there's just nothing in it. The only gimmick is you get the Mega Mushroom, and then you're big for 5 seconds, and then you shrink back down.
It's the whole
that gimmick
game.
Gets old after 5 minutes.
It's the whole it's the whole new thing of the game. It's just that. My image of it in my head is just what I saw in the trailers, which is just them in a plain tennis court with no other Mario funness to it. They're just on a basic tennis court, and they get big sometimes. That's what that game is to me.
That's all it is.
I mean, if you look at the main menu of Ultra Smash, it pretty much signifies what exactly the game is, because the menu is so drab and boring. It's just here's some rectangles for the menu or for the main game, the online, as if anyone actually played the online. But, the menu itself is extremely boring. And I don't know, when I first saw that, it kind of just left this first impression of, oh gosh, this is not going to be a fun game.
Yeah, Nintendo was in a bad place back then, and it was just kind of damage control, just trying to make some money, keep their head above the water, a lot of filler and stuff, because they were kind of struggling. That game maybe was going to have a lot more to it, and they were we got an investor meeting. We need to just get out a tennis game, try to get a couple sales off of that.
Right.
Do you two have hope for Superstar, or Mario Party Superstar, I think it is?
Honestly, yes.
I do as well, but it's just, if we follow the trend, it's Super Mario Party was a good start in the right direction, and I think this will determine whether or not they actually pulled it off and listened to fans and what they want. And it seems to be close, but there's always that fear. It's when I first saw Super Rush, Mario Golf Super Rush, I'm that looks pretty cool. I think that they've learned something, and then it's still kind of basic. So I'm hoping that the goods are actually there in the case of Mario Party.
Yeah, my only real fear, like, because I'm not really invested in Mario Party games. I haven't really played a bunch of them. But my main fear is that they will rely too much on the whole, like, nostalgia, it's all the best ones factor, and not advance the parts of the series that need to be advanced. It might just end up being like, yeah, it's all the old stuff, but it's just kind of like a basic version of all the old stuff. I don't know. I mean, at least the online mode is good.
Well, that's kind of what people want at this point, because they've veered so far from what made Mario Party fun in the first place that just getting back to where it was would be seen as a massive victory to that fan base, it feels.
Yeah, I've been there. Definitely been there. I don't know. The game, I don't know. I've never been a big Mario Party guy. I know a lot of people are quite invested in it, though.
It's online, so it might help you this time.
It's true. I mean, if anything, if the online works, I mean, more and more their games are starting to kind of work online, so that itself could be a pretty big thing.
Well, apparently not only is it online, you can also save after every turn, which is a huge factor. So, like, if you need to leave in the middle of the game, you can keep your save and just, like, continue later on. I think that's a big thing.
That's a very, very big
thing. For Nintendo. Mm-hmm.
That's one of those things where, like, you'd expect them to, like, okay, the games finally connect and it works, but it's going to take a couple more generations before we let you have, like, quality of life stuff. We're getting the basics down here.
Pretty much.
Well, what else do we have? Any other, let's see, on my list of recent games, you got your Pokemon Unite, you got your Skyward Sword, you got your The World Ends With You. Those seem to be like the more, I guess that's not really technically a Nintendo thing, but I don't know, people are talking about it. The original was a DS one. Anyone play Pokemon Unite?
Not touched it.
I've played like 20 minutes. I don't know, it didn't really hook me, but that's not my kind of game, so.
Same.
Yeah, no problem. Skyward Sword, we'll try not to get into a big thing of it because we've talked about it so much on this show, but any basic surface thoughts on Skyward Sword HD?
I haven't had time to pick it up, so I have not touched it at all. I have the Amiibo. My partner Amy got the
nice.
Joy-Con, but we haven't got the game itself.
Yeah, I've got the game loaded up on the Switch. I was actually going to do a couple videos on it, but I decided to just not... I'm going to do it eventually, but I don't know. I was at a point where I was just doing way too much at once. I need to give myself a few days to breathe. So now I'm probably not going to play it until maybe next year when Breath of the Wild 2 gets closer. But I've not played it. I did get the Joy-Cons. I want the Amiibo, but I refuse to pay like $60, $70 for a scalper price. So I'm just going to wait to find one in a store or just when the prices go back down.
Yeah, I keep meaning to go into Best Buy and see if I can find one because I hate the practice of locking things behind an Amiibo, but that Amiibo is really cool, so I want it anyway.
Yeah, I hate the practice too, but here's the thing. I have, I think, all the Amiibo except like 3 or 4 of the Japanese ones.
Oh, wow.
So I'm kind of just getting them all at this point. I just like them for a display
You're
piece,
in it to win it.
not so much for actually using them.
Yeah. That's where I'm at, and I've heard from I forget who I was talking to that played it, but that was talking about that functionality, and they were saying how there is a lot more of those posts to take you back into the sky than they remembered. So it really isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah,
like it's useful, but it's not it's not as much of a locked away feature as it seems initially. It's according to them at least, it felt like it's less of an issue than people made it out to be just because they haven't played it in a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a massive issue. There were a few times where I was like, especially when you get kind of late in the game, kind of just getting tired of going back and forth. There were a couple of times where I was like, man, I kind of wish I had that Amiibo right now.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I think it's more of just the principle than anything.
That's really it. It's absolutely, because it's like, how far do you take it? How much of a convenience does it have to be before we start to really get upset about it? How far can they push that line? This is kind of like, meh.
What? That's sort of the problem with Amiibo from the beginning, is that they couldn't find they've always struggled with the right balance between stuff that makes people feel like they don't need to get it, that they're missing out on something, but also making it worthwhile to get for the people who want to buy it for something and use it in the game and not just as a display piece. And usually just comes in the form of extra items or stuff like that. But other times, like with Metroid Samus Returns, there was a whole difficulty mode locked behind one, and people were upset about that.
Yeah, that's way too much.
I get it, but... yeah, it's like, how do you balance that? And it's not like the other Toys to Life games where it's just like, oh yeah, this is a function of it. That's just how it works. And there you go. Nintendo broadened it, but also had a trouble putting the value out there.
Yeah, and I even made a whole video on this. I kind of want to do another one because it's like it is hard with Toys to Life because it's like it is on disc DLC. That's just what it is. It's kind of you kind of just have to accept that you need something like with Smash where you don't get the CPU fighter unless you have the thing. They just need more games where like you get the character for having the amiibo because then anyone who wants to play as the character is probably going to have the amiibo, and that's what Toys to Life is supposed to be. It's not supposed to just give you random stuff in a game that's related to it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I could go on about that. So that's covering most of the games that came out recently. So I suppose let's move on to what's in the news. So Nintendo just dropped that little Metroid thing you were talking about. Just kind of another little... They've been really, really going hard with the Metroid marketing. Oh, and today is the anniversary, right?
Right, it is.
Mm-hmm. Today's the 35th anniversary.
Have either of you actually played the original Metroid? The original one, not Zero Mission or anything else? I guess, Nathan, you haven't, since you haven't dabbled too much in the series.
Yeah, I think I have the cartridge, but I've never actually tried to play it.
Yeah, I don't own the cartridge or anything like that, but I remember unlocking it in Metroid Prime and booting up. It's like, oh, this is cool. I played Zero Mission, but I never played the original. And playing through, I was like, oh, God, I don't know where I'm going. This is way more basic than I remember. There's not even a map. Yeah. It was definitely one of those games where you had to sort of map it out yourself as a kid and go from there. And it's definitely one of those that's harder to go back to. So it's recommended to play the remake on Game Boy Advance than the original. But as a memory piece, I mean, still cool what they pulled off there.
Yeah, I've never played it for more than a few minutes.
I would like to eventually play it, but...
Yeah, well, now that we got the rewind and the save states and stuff, maybe that's pretty cool. I mean, it's really cool seeing Nintendo. They've been, at least on Twitter, they've been pushing Metroid Prime or Metroid Dread so much. It's the game that launches alongside the OLED, and now they're really. I mean, because that's always the fear with any series that Nintendo's just gonna kind of not acknowledge the anniversary, just kind of not, because they do that sometimes. Yeah. And it's great. They're not really doing a lot with DK, even though it's the DK anniversary, and he's arguably a lot more important. But Metroid's getting the love. That's good, I guess, because they have a product coming for it. Maybe that's why. But
I think that's probably why.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But have you been reading those Dread reports on the Nintendo's website?
No, I haven't. I don't want any more spoilers. They already spoiled some stuff.
There's a few things out there. I don't think anything too major. I tried in my analysis to try to figure out exactly what they're doing and where the plot might be going, but I think there's still a lot of room for things to shift and not be aware of how it might end up. Though this latest one is mainly just, hey, here's what happened in all the previous games and how the series sort of evolved. And hey, there's also remakes of these things you should check out as well. It's more of a history piece. It is really sort of bringing those who have not played the Metroid series up to date and here's what the series is kind of all about. And they actually classify, you know how I always toss about around Metroidvania as the genre? Search action is how they've sort of labeled it.
Search action.
So is that, that's what they're calling the genre.
Yeah, I am really happy that they've been, because I mean, Fusion, it's been so long, essentially just since Super. On the Super NES, that we've had a full big exploration heavy, because then Zero Mission was technically a remake of the first one, and that it was fairly open, but a little bit, you still had to go to the individual points. I don't know. Super feels like the one really big open one, and then Samus Returns was based on Metroid 2, which was really linear. So, and they made it more open, but there was almost only so much they could do. Fusion was really linear, so they've been, at least in conversations about Dread, really hammering home the idea of the Metroidvania thing, the exploration thing, the search action or whatever. I'm really just hoping it lives up to that. I don't have I'm not quite expecting the level of Super. There's always going to be some somewhat linear order of events that you got to do, but you can do a lot to make a game feel open, even when it's somewhat linear, and that's my single biggest hope for Dread.
I liked what I saw for example, you know how typically when you get the map, get to the map room and download the map, it shows you exactly what the layout is. For this, it just sort of gives you like, here's this square, and these are how these connected. So you can sort of see how big the area is, but you can't see exactly how it's all the paths work within that square until you actually get there. It sort of keeps the mystery, so you're still. It encourages the exploration a bit more than I've seen before with this, where it's just like, oh, okay, now I know that left takes me a lot further than right, so I'm going to go right first so I can see what's down there and get anything that might be goodies and then move on. So I don't know. It's interesting what they're doing. I have a good feeling they've definitely pushed the fact that Adam is not going to be directing you to do anything like in Fusion, like it's go here, do this. It's all lore. So I think they've really taken it to heart for this one.
Yeah, I mean, you like lean on what the series was established on, you know, like what made it what it is and what everybody else is doing with it. Like that's what it is. It's exploration. And yeah, and every time they kind of hammer that home more, I'm more and more hopeful about it. Oh, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Did you know that?
I am aware.
Yeah,
I'm aware. Did you enjoy that video they put out?
Which one?
The Glimpse of Dread. It's just 30 seconds of story stuff.
The one today?
Yeah, the one today.
No, I didn't want. I don't want to expose myself to any, even the recap stuff. I want to go in as blind as I can.
As blind as possible. I gotta say, there's some pretty cool story implications here. Plus, it looks like we got. This, I don't consider this a spoiler because it's in every freaking game. We got to look at the design of the Varia suit this game, which is nice.
Nice. And you know what? Before we move on from Metroid, I think we didn't mention this last time you were on, but give everyone a brief little rundown of that very awesome Metroid project that you did some time back.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a tricky thing. I kind of screwed up the release of it, but that's all right. Basically, I got this question one time on the old podcast that I was on when I was still with Game Explain, which would be like, how would you turn, what game would you turn into a movie and how would you do it? And I immediately thought Metroid, and then just, started thinking it out in my head, and it just sort of stuck with me. And so I just had some time. It's like, you know what, I'm going to write this down. And I wrote the entire base, outline of the script or outline of how I wanted it to go in about 3 days, which I thought I was like, I'll do it over the course of a month. And it just came to me so quick that I got it in 3 days. And I just got this inspiration to kind of make it a thing. Like I originally was just going to be like, I'll intersplice it with some gameplay here and I just get an artist to do here or there. But then when I called out the call for an artist, they were so good. It's like, well, the gameplay looks like it'll be such a jarring effect. I was like, okay, we'll just have them and take care of what I was thinking of. And the project's just sort of ballooned in like the scope and what I wanted to see it. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. Not perfect. I would definitely go back and change some things here and there, but it's hard to be ever satisfied with your work. But I'm very happy that it turned out as well as it did and people enjoyed it. In retrospect, I shouldn't have split it into 3 parts. I should have just got it out in one big go. But I was like, I need to carry this feeling. I need to enjoy this as long as possible because I spent so long doing this. It's like, no, put it out in one big thing. Let people enjoy the hour-long thing, which you can do on GVG. It's only is one solid movie. And yeah, people have some takes on it because I do go hard on Samus's backstory and motivation, much more so than dropping her in the planet all by herself and going from there. Like I felt like I needed to save that sort of thing for a sequel if I ever have the time and energy. You
got it with a movie. Yeah, I feel like I'm on your side. Like you got to do that kind of stuff with a movie. You got to make it a movie. There's got to be a story. We got to know who the character is and all that stuff. And it's really cool. I've not watched the entire thing. It's kind of one of those things I've been savoring. Like I've seen bits of it, and especially as you were making it, I was watching all the stuff you were putting out, and I've just not gotten around to watch the whole thing because I'm just like it's like the closest we may ever get to a Metroid movie. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's kind of like a treatment. It's kind of like it's like an outline. You got voice actors, tons and tons of original art. Super cool. Everybody needs to go check it out. This second.
Yeah.
Stop the podcast. Go watch it.
Major shout out to the artist on that I discovered. It goes by Dayumi, Daeyumi with an underscore at the end, I believe. And just fantastic artwork all around. Really captured some of the action scenes I did. Because I'm of all things, I'm very proud of my action scenes where the fight against Kraid and especially the final battle where I decided to up the ante of like, I need something more exciting than just shooting Mother Brain while rings pop around the area. So I have, same as taking on Ridley, the Metroids, and Mother Brain all at once. Wow. And just having pure chaos.
Nice. Yeah, shoot me the link, because then I'll put it in the description for anyone listening. It'll be down in the show notes.
Will do.
Well, I do have to say, it would be a lot more interesting for Nintendo to make a Metroid movie than this Mario movie that's apparently in production. Because I feel like it has a lot more potential than whatever they're going to do with Mario.
Metroid has a ton of movie potential. Mario's kind of like, all we're thinking of with Mario is what ways are they going to compromise? What ways is it going to be awkward? Like it doesn't quite fit that storytelling format as much.
Yeah. The thing is that there's nice lore to Metroid. There's a big canvas that people can sort of imagine how it all goes. With Mario, you kind of have that where it's kind of open-ended with what you can do, but it's also so linear in what you do. It's like, you got Mario, you go save the princess. There's not a lot of story there. And yeah, there's some stories that they build off of thanks to Paper Mario or Super Mario RPG, what have you. But Mario's never actually the focus in those.
Yeah, and the problem is that they've cut back on the story element so much that when I'm imagining because, we know Miyamoto himself is like deeply involved in this movie. You're like, what could it even be? He hates stories.
Is Mario even going to talk?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. Like, what?
Do you get Martinet? That's the question in my mind. Like, Martinet is the voice of Mario, but will audience put up with that voice in full sentences for 90 minutes? Yeah. I don't know.
It's what they're just going to do.
I'd be fine with it, but probably not most people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually a lot of support characters, but that's the thing. They don't like support characters. They don't want a bunch of extra characters. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, best case scenario, Mario movie is really cool. It spins off into like making a Zelda movie, a Metroid, and then like Kirby, and then eventually it's just Avengers, where there's like a Smash Bros. Movie where they all team up together. Oh, that would be amazing.
That's the dream.
I don't think that'll happen, but man, that would be so cool.
Oh, that would be incredible.
I can't imagine that one just because like I don't. I've thought about that as well because I hear everybody talk about they want to see a Smash Brothers movie, and I think about it all the time. It's like I just don't see it working. I just can't see it work in that same way.
Well, I mean, Subspace Emissary was basically that.
True.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's not exactly a movie. That's characters moving around and interactions happening, and there you go. That's the fun of it. Obviously, it's really cool in that way. But the story is essentially bad guys are kidnapping heroes, save heroes, and it turns out this guy's the true bad guy. Defeat him.
Yeah,
save the world.
I don't know. I blame Sakurai for making me want this because after Subspace Emissary, I'm just like, this should be a movie. Like, I don't know. Maybe they could make it work somehow, but.
I think if anything, they just need to make more games with Nintendo crossovers. They just need to make another
Yes.
I mean, I've been ever since my big Amiibo video years ago. Just like that's what Amiibo need to be doing is just like a big adventure game with all the Nintendo characters and there's a big cool epic story. Like you're touching on the concept in Smash, but like there's so much more they could do with it. So much more.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just combine like a couple games together. Like Mario Kirby would work together. Star Fox and Metroid would work well together. DK and Mario. I mean, there's so many different like combinations you could create.
Yeah. I mean, like, come on. You did Mario and Rabbids. You think Mario Kirby wouldn't work? Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's crazy because those crossovers do bring in people and can introduce like you want people to get pay more attention to this other franchise, put them with Mario, and all of a sudden people will check it out a bit more. It just makes sense. Mario Pikmin, why not?
Yeah, Mario Metroid romance story.
Yeah, there we
go.
Just do it. Just go for it. Whoa, man, that is entertaining. But you know what? It's time for a word from our sponsor. This episode of Arlocast was brought to you by me. I reached into my wallet, I pulled out $1, I handed that $1 to myself and said, you can have this $1, me, you, whatever, if you say my message on my podcast. And that message is as follows. I love you, me. Really? Yeah. This is a conversation? I thought it was supposed to just be a message, but now it's a conversation. Because that's what's happening. I love you. That's a really nice thing for you to say. I love you, me too. Thanks. Can I give you a hug? No. I mean, I guess you can kind of hug yourself. Let's try it. Yeah, it works. It feels pretty good. Nice and long. It's a good hug. It's a good hug. Okay, give me my $1. Okay, here you go. And now back to Nathaniel Bandy and Derrick Bitner. Well, I should move us along a little bit more. I think the only other thing in the news, they just did their big financial thing. The Switch has hit 89 million and is still going strong and will definitely greatly outsell the Wii, which is incredible. And Ring Fit Adventure has dethroned New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe and is now in the top 10. The top 10.
That's wild.
Insane.
That is, I can't even believe it.
Yeah, I really have to wonder, is that just because of the pandemic from last year and people wanted to kind of stay in shape at home and they had Switches and they're like, okay, I guess I'll get Ring Fit and I can run around a little bit and use the ring to get exercise? I mean, maybe that's why the sales are so good. I don't really know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it
don't know.
did well at launch, but that the pandemic might have been what carried it forward in that way. Because we got Animal Crossing, but what else do we got? Well, there's this game that keeps you fit. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll check that out. And yeah, I mean, the game is fun and it works you. I haven't finished it or anything like that, but when I did play it, it kicked my butt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I played it for a good 2 to 3 months, probably.
As I will always say when it comes up, I need to pick it back up again, and then I don't.
Yes.
I'm the snarkier part of me wants to kind of compare it to the Paper Mario situation and be like, hey, Nintendo, did you know that RPG elements and a progression system is really engaging, and that's what makes people like this game so much and makes it for me at least, that's what the gamification of everything is what encourages me to exercise. You're getting stronger, you gotta beat this guy. I don't know, the RPG elements, that's what sets it apart from something just Wii Fit or whatever. Just an exercise thing with some mini games. It's no, it's because it's an RPG adventure. That's why it's so effective.
Yeah, you want to just move on and continue.
Yeah, I don't think I couldn't go back to Wii Fit after Ring Fit Adventure just because of that.
Yeah, no way. Also, just that ring is just awesome. It's so much more exercise potential.
Mm-hmm.
I'm amazed they didn't do because I believe it runs off the same engine as Breath of the Wild. How did they not release DLC where you run through Hyrule?
That'd be awesome.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
I mean,
there's
still the game. It's one of those things where it's it feels like once they reach a certain point, they're less likely to release an update thing for a game. They did some updates, but I feel like if they notice that a game is performing better than they think it would, they should change their plans and be like, hey, let's do some paid DLC because look, this thing has sold 1 trillion copies. Do something big and make a big new Ring Fit Adventure thing, or even a second game that you can still use the hardware that you've got, but it's Ring Fit Adventure 2. It's just another adventure to go on, but you don't have to rebuy the whole thing. There's so much they could do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think they've only released a couple of Mario Odyssey songs, and then a couple of Breath of the Wild songs. I think that was
mostly songs,
really
just
I can't
really
remember.
tiny stuff. Yeah.
Never anything major, and it kind of. It kind of feels like Nintendo is caught off guard when certain games do much better than they expect. Because I'm pretty sure that's what's going on with Ring Fit Adventure, where they just oh, here's some stuff, and definitely happened with Animal Crossing.
Yep. They didn't expect it, and they don't know what to do with it. It's just you didn't plan for your game doing well. That's pretty silly.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it is now time. Let's move on to listener questions. Our first question comes from AKA Ingmar. If there was one game you could play for the first time again, what would it be? Derek, start with you.
Oh man, I
know it's a tough one, and I put you on the spot.
I know, right? The funny thing is, I just got this question from a patron not too long ago that I answered, and I'm trying to remember what the heck my answer was for that, just because my mind's just a jumbled mess. I think actually I do remember what my answer was in that case. I actually chose in that case Professor Layton in just the Professor Layton series.
Really?
Because. Yeah, you could say like stuff, the RPGs and stuff and things like that, but it's kind of like the movies where you know it's coming, but you can still enjoy the gameplay and still enjoy what happened. And yeah, you're not getting that first experience, but it's still really good. And you can kind of argue that for Professor Layton in whatever game as well. But because of the puzzle elements, once you figure those out, you're not really going to get challenged again. So be able to go back in blind with the puzzles that make up the rest of the game, I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool and be able to re-enjoy both the story and the puzzle elements and just have it nice and fresh.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, my brain does not hold in information, so I could probably just replay any of the ones I've played and be like, still remember a thing about them. What about you, Nathan?
I'm stuck on two of them. It's got to be between, these are recent games, got to be between like Mario Odyssey or Sonic Mania. Because I remember, man, 2017 was such a fantastic year for games.
Sure was.
And there were so many good ones that came out. But I remember first playing Sonic Mania, and within like the first 10 seconds, just the music, the controls, everything was just perfect. And like I don't know how I can express just the sheer joy that I had, playing through that first level and then just playing through the whole. I think I kind of just played through that whole game in like an hour and a half or so. And I liked it so much that I immediately played it again afterwards, and I never do that with games. So that one I would experience again. And then, like with Mario Odyssey, again, it had been such a long time since we had gotten like a proper 3D open worldish kind of platformer. So diving into Cascade and the music goes da-da-dun or like kicks off, it just gave me like this massive rush of like goosebumps. I was just so happy at that moment. Because, I grew up with, games like Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. So being able to, like, re-experience that magic again is something that most games are not able to, recapture with me. So probably I'd have to pick, like, those two.
Yeah, that was an exquisite experience myself as well.
Yes. I would love to have that Odyssey as well, especially because I didn't get to enjoy it in the first one element in the first time I played through because I was spoiled to the big ending bit when it was coming out.
So was I.
And it was one of those things where it was still cool. It was still amazing. But it was like, if I had gone into this completely unknowing what was going to happen, it would have been incredible.
Was it a YouTube thumbnail?
Yeah, that or Twitter, one of the two. But it's just like, come on.
People were like 2 days before the game came out. Someone sent me just on Twitter just a random image of the Mario 64 costume, and I was so pissed off. I'm like, why would you do this? Why did you? I just don't understand why people feel the need to do that. And ever since then, I've had notifications off because I don't want to get spoiled for games like that ever again.
Yeah, that's tough. My answer, it is a very difficult question. And on any given day, I might even, like, change it. And it's also hard because you kind of have to look at, like, the context of, like, where the world was, Like right now, if I deleted my memory of Ocarina of Time and played it again, I'd be like, that's pretty cool. Like, it wouldn't hit the same way. So if we're looking at, like, context, in the moment, it was probably, like, Ocarina of Time or Mario 64, where it was just, like, the most magical thing that could ever be magical in a game. But if I'm looking at like in the present day, maybe Shadow of the Colossus, just because that was just such an incredible, which is funny because that was one of my answers last week. I really love that game. But I think if I have to pick, it might be Pikmin 2.
Really?
Oh.
Because there's so much content there and there are so many wacky enemies and elements that like the first time digging into that was just such a delight. There's just so much to this. I mean, it's such a long game. It's like, it takes you like 25 hours the first time or something. And so it might be that, I think Pikmin 2.
That's such a controversial game where I know people that love that one and know people that hate that one.
Super divisive. It entirely depends on just what you like about Pikmin. And I can definitely understand, like, the people who are just like, this is the worst. I get it completely. But I love it. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite games. It's probably top
Dang.
5. Probably top 5 game. Our next question comes from Shy Gato. What is your favorite collectible sound that is satisfying to listen to? I presume like a collectible in a game, something like a pickup or something. What about you, Nathan?
Wow, that's really hard.
That is really hard.
Well, there's a lot of, like getting red coins in Mario 64, because it kind of like goes from lower pitch to higher pitch. That's satisfying.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
I love collecting the bananas in Monkey Ball 1 and 2. It has like this really weird, I don't even know how to describe the jingle, but something about it just feels really nice. There's probably a bunch of others. I would have to think about this for a while, honestly.
Yeah, that's another tough one, I know.
I'm split between either the Metroid, every time you get an upgrade for the suit, that one's always like like that's just so triumphant. It's like, yes, I feel like I'm getting powerful. That's just always feels good. But as far as like a normal collectible that you get, Sonic's rings, because when you get a lot in a row, it's like it's like you feel really good, and it works because it's just as devastating when you get hit and you have a lot and you see the rings all flying and you have that sound sort of similar to coming out, and it's like, oh no, come back. So I think it sort of captures that, getting them, feeling satisfied about getting them, but also wanting to keep them because it's just like so devastating when it happens, even though you only need one really, but you want to get as many as possible.
Yeah. It's a great mechanic for that. Every once in a while, I'll stop and just be like, man, the ring mechanic in Sonic, like not a lot of people have done anything like that. And it's really unique. And it's still, even to this day, is like, that's just a good take on it. It's a good take on health. It's just such a weird dynamic. I don't know. And yeah, that sound,
I love that
is
sound.
really excellent. And and all the more devastating when you lose it. It's just like,
Come back. I needed 50 to get into the special stage,
awesome.
and now I only have 48. Come on.
Yeah, the fact that you can grab them up again. Oh yeah, I could talk about that. It's a great mechanic. For me, I mean, it does kind of depend on whether it's just like a quick little pickup, like a health, or if it is like a special item or something. If we're talking special items, yeah, Metroid 1, really good. Super Mario 64, getting a star. It's just burned into my memory. Just boodle-a-doop-a-doop-doop. It's really good. As far as like small items go, there are a lot of really good ones. I do like the bananas in Donkey Kong Country. Just the little noise it makes and the way it goes up. It's really nice. But I might pick Zelda Hearts.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that.
Yeah, just that something about the bloop noise, the way that they look and the sound that it makes when you pick them up. It's just it's just nice, and especially when you're missing a lot of hearts and you pick up a bunch, and that's just like a really satisfying feeling. And even if I'm full of hearts, I usually end up picking up the ones that I spill out of stuff anyway, just because it's just satisfying. It's just nice.
Yeah, or even just opening like a big chest and getting like a key item like that. There's like a whole build up to getting that item. That's always really satisfying too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nintendo. That's one thing they've always excelled at, is just like feedback, like visual and audio feedback for doing stuff. And that's one of the big reasons their games feel so polished. It's just making it feel good to do something really simple.
I think that's the key. Yeah.
And a lot of people overlook that.
Yeah, I think that is key. Because you don't think about those elements. I have a friend that's started working on their own game, and they're like, of course, looking at Nintendo for inspiration and whatnot. And he's like, and as he's looking at it and all the elements coming out, it's like, oh my God, just every little thing and how it all fits together is like, it really shows how they're masters of the craft. And really anybody who makes a great game is masters, because they have to think about every little element, how it all fits together and making it satisfying for the player. It's like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous.
And especially in recent years, Nintendo's doubled down on that, on just like, that's why they've shied away from RPG-ish kind of stuff, and they've gone more to like stuff that just feels good. Mario Odyssey, let's make it just feel good to get moons. And Breath of the Wild, there's not even really a lot to do, but it just feels good to run around, run around and kill bad guys and stuff. It's kind of like that, the intrinsic motivation thing, where you want to do it just because it's fun to do, not because something is telling you to do it,
Yeah.
Well, final question comes from Meerkat. If you woke up tomorrow as an Animorph, what animal would you be?
Oh my
Nathan,
gosh.
start with you.
Geez.
Good question.
Any animal?
I presume so, yeah.
Okay, this is something I have to think about for a long time, but off the top of my head, I would probably want to be maybe like a tiger, because they're strong, they're really fast, and everyone's scared of them. I'd want to be a tiger.
There you go.
Yeah, see, it's another context issue where it's kind of like, is this just me saying what animal would I like to be? Or in the context of Animorphs, am I fighting a secret war against aliens? Do I have to consider combat abilities?
In which case, tiger's a good choice.
It's a pretty good choice.
Yeah, the only disadvantage is everyone hunts tigers, so I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'd pick that.
Hey, that's not a bad answer.
I've never read Animorphs, but I always saw the covers and being like, this looks weird.
Yeah,
I never read it myself.
I've heard from people who have played it, it gets wild by the end of it. But
yeah.
So I looked at it more as a utility type thing rather than fighting against the aliens, although I feel like I still could be pretty useful here. I was like, okay, what would be useful? I like to get places. I don't like to worry about traveling too much. So flight. Flight is a good thing. What's a good bird? I'm going to go eagle. Let's turn into an eagle.
That's me. That's mine too.
Good pick.
Oh, nice. Because
we're both doing eagles.
Sort of top of the food chain. Good flight and kind of useful.
Yeah, and they're big enough so that they're strong. And the one problem with that is you can't as easily do recon because you're like a giant bald eagle. They'll be like, hey, I know who that is. So it's like, do I pick a smaller bird or something? But yeah, you want to be able to fight. Like an eagle. If an eagle decides to use its talons and scratch you up, they could probably do some damage to a person. So I wouldn't want to fight an eagle. Yeah, eagle. That's just like a big, strong eagle. You can fly, but you're still big enough to not be like a delicate little animal.
Hey, everybody. Podcast producer Chris jumping in. Just to let you know that some of us here at Arlocast do in fact know that Rachel used a bald eagle morph not only for long-haul flights, but also to fight and also for reconnaissance due to the eagle's superior eyesight. Now, I, like many of you, I'm sure, remember thinking, wouldn't all the people down there be really excited to see a bald eagle in the middle of a city? And yes, that is a big problem. And no, it was never addressed.
Well, now it's time for our last few segments of the podcast. First of all, what you been playing? And it seems we've already kind of touched a little bit on that. Just like any for pleasure games, either of you, Derrick? Recently?
It basically is just Great Ace Attorney. I'd love to play World Ends With You. I got that as well. I took advantage of that whole pre-order fiasco that happened with Square Enix Store, and they rescinded the copy, can't use it at all, the digital one at all, and so I had to wait. So for the physical copy that I ordered at $15 extra shipping because Square Enix Store and all that stuff, which is really dumb. But
give me. I've heard that there was a thing, but I'm not exactly sure. Like, what's the problem?
Okay, so what happened is that for a little while, it was possible to pre-order the physical version of The World Ends With You off the Square Enix Store. You did the pre-order, and then it would, of course, the physical version would get shipped to you eventually. However, you also received an email with a code. And the code was initially, apparently the mistake was with Nintendo, but the code was initially supposed to be something that just unlocks a little bonus feature. I think it's the outfit of the character from the original game that is still in the game, but you just get it early. But instead, it was a code that gave you the full digital version of the game. So it was like, oh, cool. I get it physical and digital. Yeah, it's a bit more expensive, $80 all said and told, because the $15 shipping cost on Square Enix for whatever reason. And I can play it a little bit early, which was perfect for me because I did want to try to review it. Unfortunately, I did not remember to put my Switch into airplane mode if they decided to rescind it, and they did rescind it, so the digital version no longer works, and I had to wait on the physical version to come. Well, that took 6 days after release, despite it having expedited shipping on it. So it just took forever. And it's like, well, switching to Great Ace Attorney, we'll just worry about that. So I'd love to play this game. I love the original. Would love to get back to it, but just don't have the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, what? So you did straight through their website? Like, you could still buy it at other retailers, right?
Oh, yeah. You can still buy it at other retailers, all that. It was a way to get it early. This only worked if you got it through the Square Enix Store.
That's unfortunate. So. What about you, Yul? What you been playing?
I've been playing a little bit of actually it's been a lot of things. I've been playing a little bit of Minecraft. In my spare time, been playing some Bloons, TD6.
Nice.
Recently gotten into modding my GameCube and adding some Monkey Ball mods. So I've been playing a little bit of that. I think those are like the main things. There's probably a couple other things I've played recently. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much that. I kind of go back and forth between playing like a game here and there, but a game that I'll pretty much always stick with playing like at least a few times a month is Bloons, or I'll play COD Zombies with a friend of mine.
Nice.
So
yeah, I have not had a lot of time for playing. I think the only real thing I've picked up this last week was Pokemon Unite, just because I'm doing a video on it. And so, yeah, that's basically been it. And I already kind of talked about it last week. It's fun. I'm making a very critical video on it, but the gameplay's fun. It's pretty good. I do have a code. I got a code for Kitaria Fables, and I'm looking forward to playing that, though. That's going to be the next thing I play.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if if you guys have seen stuff on that one.
I have not really heard about that one, no.
It's an indie. It's just like a cool looking little like adventure game, Zelda-ish, but there's also like farming sim stuff, and it's like a world, and it's all cats, and it looks pretty good. It looks really slick.
Huh.
Nice.
And now finally, we come to the final segment of the show. It's What You Been Eating. I will start. I'm trying to get back on the wagon with like making my own meals and not just eating fast food and pies all the time and stuff. So last night I finally made my curry again. It's been a long time since I did like a chicken curry, and I make my own curry powder and like cashews and edamame and stuff. And it was very, very good. And I will be eating the leftovers the exact second we hit stop on this recording. I'll be running to the fridge, stuffing my face with curry. What about you, Derek? Eat any good stuff recently?
Haven't really had a chance to make up a meal plan this week, so it's been a little hodgepodge here and there. That said, there is a local grocery store that has pre-made like tikka masala meals, Indian food, and those are quite good. You can pick those up, and they have naan available that you can buy. So I get that, some naan, and have a nice, easy tikka masala, rice and tikka masala meal, and do all right. Otherwise, last night I had Five Guys, which I'd like to have on occasion, just to have a decent burger.
I love Five Guys. It's delicious.
Yeah, Five Guys. I only just recently tried them, and I'm kind of torn because it's really, really expensive compared to In-N-Out. And so I'm kind of at this thing where it's like, and now you got me on the Five Guys thing. The fries are way better than In-N-Out, and you get, like, they're more money, but you get more and they're better, so that's kind of worth it. But then the burger, like, I can get, like, 2 or 3 In-N-Out burgers of, like, almost the same size for the price of one Five Guys burger. So I'm kind of at this thing where, do I, like, go to In-N-Out to get the burger and then swing by the Five Guys to get the fries? And it's a whole thing, and I don't want to do that.
I don't have to worry about that because I don't have any In-N-Outs near me, so it's just like, well,
yeah, East Coast.
I'm on the East Coast, no In-N-Out near me either.
That is unfortunate. I defended their fries for a long time, but I don't know. I think I am kind of realizing it's because they don't like soak them in cold water overnight or whatever, so they don't have that quite the same kind of crispy freshness. It's kind of a thing. The burger's great, though. I like the In-N-Out burger better. And it's like, no, seriously, it's so much cheaper. It's like $4. And a Five Guys one is really slightly bigger, and it's like $10 for one burger. It's like a restaurant burger. That's my problem with Five Guys.
Yeah, I think you can get the bigger one for maybe $11, like where it has 2 burgers. I forget. I've used to have the double patty all the time, but like since I've lost weight, my appetite's lessened a bit, which is good, and so I just go for the single burger anymore.
Those fries are good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the fries are really good,
and you get a lot of them too.
You just get a ton.
It's like a massive bag. Like you order a small, it's like half the bag. Like it's not as small.
Yeah, and I do have a problem with that though. I hate like gimmicky messiness. I don't really like messy food, so like I don't like the thing where they really purposefully get a cup that's way too small so they can like overflow it and be like, haha, look, you're getting a bunch of fries. And I'm like, that's great, but man, this is a mess. And my bag is just full of loose fries now. Not a fan.
Yeah, and Five Guys in particular is so greasy.
Yes, exactly.
Like it leaks through the bag.
You will see the grease stains.
I don't understand that.
You'll feel them.
Yeah, they'll get on your seat on the way home. It's kind of like how I think a lot of like old-timey diners probably do this, but There's like a Logan's Roadhouse here, you know, just like, oh, steaks and stuff. And there's peanuts on the table. You could just like eat the peanuts and throw the shells on the floor. And there's just shells all over the floor. It's disgusting. I don't want to step on a bunch of crunchy shells.
I remember places like that as a kid. I'm like, why don't they clean this up? This is ridiculous. And then I think there's a going out of style thanks to peanut allergies being a little bit more of
oh my gosh, it's a nightmare in there for a peanut allergy. Jeez.
Yeah.
So was that everybody? That was everybody, right? That's all what y'all been eating? Wait, no.
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't. Nathan.
Yeah, so honestly, this year I really have made much more of a focus to eat a lot better. So typically I'll just have I'll order or like get a lot of fruit and veggies. I'll kind of snack on that throughout the day, and then for like dinner and lunch I'll just make rice, burritos, sometimes pasta. But this week that didn't happen because the Lego stuff has been extremely time consuming. So I've been getting a lot of Moe's. I don't know if you guys ever had Moe's before.
Is that the Southwest Grill?
Yeah,
Yes, I've been there once or twice.
Yeah, there's one really close to me, and I've been getting their quesadilla there. And oh my god, it's so good. I've gotten it like 3 times this week.
Oh my gosh.
So this week it's been a lot of Moe's and just like random PBJ sandwiches. That's really about it.
Yep, you're munching on Moe's. Derek's on naan. I'm consuming curry.
There you
Perfect.
go. I like it.
Well, that's good. I do believe we are at the end of the episode. I hope that you two have had fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been
I've
great.
had a tremendous amount of fun, and I'm so happy that you were able to come, Derek. So glad to have you back, and Than, great to have you here for the first time. I hope you can return again sometime.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, just send an invite, and I'll be there.
Yes, and where can we find you most often? You get Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about my Twitter. You can go watch my go watch my Luigi sketch. When is this going to go up?
Tuesday.
Okay, yeah. So my sketch should be up by then. If you could go check that out, or just check out the channel, maybe watch a video or two.
Just go watch Nathaniel Bandy
Might enjoy
videos.
something there.
They're good stuff.
Yeah.
Go watch those challenges. They're great.
Yeah.
Hold on. I gotta what is the your favorite challenge that you've done? What was the most fun?
Ooh, Mario 64 DS without Mario.
Okay. I haven't seen that one. Just only using the other characters?
Yeah, that one's insane. Because I'm gonna go on a rant for just a moment.
Yes,
but
please do.
Basically, at first I was kind of stuck because you can't fight Bowser without unlocking Mario. So I talked to a bunch of people that tasked the game, and at first they said, "Oh, this isn't possible." 45 minutes later, one of the guys was like, "Hey, I figured out a glitch and made to make this doable." So a glitch that was not known was discovered because of this challenge video.
Whoa.
And
wow.
it's insane. I'm super glad that was discovered. It makes the video it's probably like my favorite challenge video of all time.
Were you able to do the glitch yourself, or did you have to tool assist?
He had to help me with the tool assisting. I was able to do probably 80% of the glitches, but he helped with like a lot of the task work.
That's awesome. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
I need to just go to the playlist of all those are my favorite. Your other videos are good too, but I love the challenges. Those are fun. And you've been doing a lot more of those recently, just looking at like the dates on most of your videos. Are you doing more of a focus on those recently?
I try to have a balance because I probably got 5 or 6 different video series running at once. So the goal is to release at least one from each video series once a month. But sometimes, I'll delve into challenge more or, a mind-blowing video more often. It really just kind of depends on what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. Derek, where can we find you? What you doing? Are you streaming still? You're streaming, right? Yeah, of course you're streaming. I see your things on Twitter all the time. Where can we find you there?
You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/bitnerdgames, BITNERD. And I still do the Saturdays, Sundays, and Tuesdays, going between Horizon Zero Dawn, Dragon Quest VIII, and Ratchet and Clank Crack in Time right now. I do a fun little thing with my viewers where they can use their channel points to request me to play a game that they want. And I have quite the backlog of playing through those games. So working on getting through all of that. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been growing steadily. Very happy to have reached partner this year.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yes,
I was
awesome.
Not sure if I'd be able to do it, but managed to pull it off, and very grateful to everyone for getting me there. Otherwise, my VODs are over on also on Twitter, on YouTube at BitNerd Games, which is kind of important because all of my old playthroughs over at Game Explain have been removed. So the only way to watch them is mine, but I'm still slowly uploading all the old ones. But this Monday or yesterday, with where this is going up, I'll be starting my Castlevania marathon, where I played through every single American released Castlevania game. It is a marathon.
Oh man, I remember that.
It is massive. I think it's like 81 different streams or something like that to get through every one of them, plus the Bloodstained games. And that's exciting to finally be getting that re-uploaded. Otherwise, my Twitter is again at BitNerdGames, but a little underscore at the end just at BitNerd, excuse me, with an underscore at the end because regular BitNerd was taken, so sadly.
Yeah, I'm stuck with Nathaniel Bandy 1, and the person that has just Nathaniel Bandy hasn't been active in like 8 years.
Don't you hate that?
I feel that.
Always how it is.
I feel that.
Always how it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I just made a Letterboxd account, and Arlo stuff was taken, and they have 0 activity on anything and nothing anywhere, and 1 movie on their wish list, and it's like The Last Jedi, and that's it.
Freaking squatters.
And it's like, you were just taking this. Yeah, you just wanted to take this from me, weren't you?
Pretty much. That's like whenever there's a new sign up and you can only have one name, it's a rush to get your own name. If you want it.
Yeah, you're like, I don't think I even want to use this thing, but if I ever do, I'm going to need my username.
Exactly.
Run in there.
But yeah, otherwise, if you want to check out my Metroid movie over on Good Vibes Gaming, definitely do that. I'd really appreciate it. Love the feedback.
Do it.
Yep.
Do it now. This second.
Go for it.
Don't wait any longer. And you can't listen to it in podcast form because it's got too much cool art. The art is so good.
Oh, she did a fantastic job. I love it to death. There's
just
some
incredible.
Really good shots in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you again for coming on. Here's where we all wave at the imaginary camera and we say goodbye, everybody. You got to do it, though. You got to say goodbye. You got to do
everybody.
it. Put your heart and soul into
Bye,
it. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And that, my friends, is the end of another episode of Arlocast. I hope that this episode did leave your mind blown and did not leave you triggered. One final thanks to our guests, Nathaniel Bandy and Derrick Bitner. Go check them out on all the stuff that they do, the Nathaniel Bandy channel and the Good Vibes Gaming channel. Go do it. Be sure to follow at Arlocast on Twitter for updates and to submit questions, etc. This episode was edited and produced by Chris Jones. All the music you have been enjoying was created by Northman. The Arlocast logo was created by Mario Castañeda. Links to all socials, channels, etc. for all guests and artists, along with an address for business inquiries, can be found in the show notes. As with all things I do, I am supported in part by my Patreon patrons, so an extra special thank you to them. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Arlocast.
Bye.